Welcome. My name is Karan Ross. I am the CHIP Outreach Coordinator for Independence Blue Cross. I am pleased to introduce this Family Food and Wellness Program through the Free Library of Philadelphia, generously sponsored by CHIP and brought to you by Keystone Health Plan East. You are in for a great experience. Before the event kicks off, I want to share some brief information about the CHIP program. CHIP stands for the Children's Health Insurance Program. Independence Blue Cross offers CHIP, and Independence Blue Cross is one of the carriers that offers a program in southeastern Pennsylvania through the Keystone Health Plan East HMO. Key points for you to know about Keystone's CHIP program are: no family makes too much money to enroll in CHIP. I repeat, no family makes too much money to enroll their child in CHIP. As long as you don't qualify for Medicaid, you may be able to enroll your child in CHIP. The Keystone Health Plan CHIP program is available for residents who reside in the counties of Bucks, Chester, Delaware, Montgomery, and Philadelphia. For more information or if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me at karan.ross@ibx.com, or you can give me a call at 215-241-3176. Now let's sit back and enjoy this Family Food and Wellness Program.
But I'm going to show you a very simple and accessible way to make a garden. So we're going to use the pallet. And you're like, well, where am I going to get a pallet from? Are those expensive? This pallet was $3.99, okay? I got this pallet from the back of the wine and spirit store. Most of the wine and spirit stores stack all of their pallets out back, and you can take them, or you can go inside and ask the manager, and they'll more than likely say yes. If you're tuning in from Philadelphia, I got these from the Wine and Spirits on City Avenue. So I actually have 4 of them, and I plan to go get some more. Now, I have a helper here with me today, my 13-year-old Aiden. Come on down, Aiden. Don't get shy.
I'm not. Hi.
This is my son. He's going to help me with preparing the pallet garden for everyone. So this is the front of the pallet. We see you have lots of empty slats. We are going to cover the pallet with landscape fabric on the back and sides. That will help keep the soil moist and to help prohibit weeds from growing up through your pallet. And then you also could sand this down and painted it if you wanted to make it more pretty, but you don't have to. I'm really low maintenance, and I don't like to have too many things to think about that could prevent me from actually going into action. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn the pallet, the front side that we're going to fill in, we're going to turn that down to the ground. Can you give me a hand? Turn around this side. So we already started preparing the pallet for you. Using this landscape fabric. You can get this landscape fabric from Lowe's, Home Depot, or even Amazon and have it delivered to your front door. Some other things you'll need: a box cutter or a pair of scissors to cut the landscape fabric. It's very easy to cut. So like if you make a little incision, you can actually like rip it all the way down. But if you want to be like super neat so that your palette is really pretty, you can use a box cutter. You're also going to need a staple gun to help you staple down the back and sides of the landscape fabric. And of course, you're going to need some soil. So today I'm going to use a bag of, well, we're not getting sponsored by them. I'm going to use a bag of organic soil, and you can find your organic soil that you would like to use. And then of course, you're going to need some seeds, whatever seeds you want to choose to grow for the fall season. We're going into the fall season. So things you think about in the summertime, like zucchinis and whatnot, those will more than likely not give you any fruit before winter. But I'm going to install some fall crops. So I have beets here that I'm going to put in, nice, pretty, colorful beets. And I like to eat a lot of salad. And salad greens grow very quickly. So we could actually get a harvest of these still while it's warm, pick off the outer leaves and begin to eat those while they continue to grow. And what I have here is also something you should check out. It's seed tape. So seed tape is really cool because you don't have to worry about spacing or depth. Really, you roll it out to the length of your bed, you cut it, cover it up with a little bit of soil, water it, and you're good to go. So seed tape is amazing. So those are the two things we're going to put in today. And if you didn't want to start from seed, you also could buy vegetable starts from the nursery, and that can be a little bit more expensive. So if you're trying to save money like most of us are because COVID, you can start your seeds inside. I started these inside. They're not quite ready to go out yet, and I'm not going to install them today because we're experiencing a hurricane and they can be uprooted and battered. But I started some kale. This is kale, Swiss chard, and some lettuce, all on my bedroom window. So when the conditions are conducive, I'm gonna thin these out because they're a little too close together. I'm gonna thin them out and then I will install them in the garden bed. All right, so let's get started. First, I'm gonna show you how to install and operate your staple gun. So this staple gun, you load from the bottom. You squeeze. Well, make sure your safety is on. You see this lever here. You always want to make sure that's on so you don't accidentally staple yourself or anybody else in the face. But it's really hard to do that anyway. You have to put a lot of pressure to squeeze a staple gun. You squeeze the tip, pull the slide out. You're going to insert your staples with the teeth facing up. And then you slide the lever back in and make sure you hear a click. And then you can unlock your safety and it's ready to go. So what we did here, we turned the pallet over and we rolled out the landscape fabric. Now we started half so that we wouldn't take up all the time stapling. But if you see here, this side of the pallet is more open. So you have to be very careful as you start to staple across because you might just staple into the air and you don't want that to happen. The landscape fabric comes at different lengths. My fabric doesn't cover the entire pallet in one piece. So I have to do two pieces because you also want your fabric to drape over the side to cover up these handle indentations here. Those are places where your soil could fall out. So you want it to hang over generously because we're going to staple on the side. So all I did was I rolled the landscape fabric out, I stapled it in place, and then I rolled out another piece overlapping with the first piece. And now we're going to staple that in place. All right. So for the overlapping piece, I put a couple staples at the top to stabilize it. And now I'm going to feel along and put a couple of staples in to keep it from blowing away. And now I'm going to have my assistant Aiden. You're going to watch your fingers and you're going to staple the remaining sides. So son, you're going to follow along this piece here. So you're going to feel with your hand first, the straight line that you can go in. It's a little gap there. It's a little gap there. So you'll be able to put like 2 or 3 staples here and then 2 or 3 staples there. Do you see? Yep. All right. Make sure you keep your other hand clear. Move your hand back. Make sure your other hand is always here. Okay. Move your hand away. Good job. You have to make sure your opposite hand stays clear because you don't want to staple yourself. That hurts. Okay, you see that indentation? All right, now you found your piece and move it over. And make sure your other hand stays clear. All right, Great job, Aiden. Okay, so now you have one more side. You want to make sure you go around all 4 sides to keep the soil in. So now go along this line. The smooth sides of the panels won't have those indentations, and you'll be able to staple straight across. So Aiden, staple straight across this side. And make sure your hand stays clear for safety. You're doing a great job, Sam. Now, if you wanted to skip this step, you could. You still would need to cover in the sides, but what you could do to also prevent the weed from showing, you could cover the bottom of the ground where you're going to put your pallet with cardboard, and that will also keep the weeds from coming through. I actually did that with my other garden bed over here. There's cardboard all along the bottom. We need to staple the sides. Make sure you all can see, kind of hold it on an angle. So, as you can see, I'll bring you guys a little closer. There are indentations where the soil could fall out. So we are going to overlap the garden fabric and staple along the edge so that this area here is covered. Okay. All right, I'll hold it up for you, son. Make sure it overlaps. And you get your staple gun. And start at your edge. Down this side. Mm-hmm. Doing these kind of projects with your kids, it gets them outside. I know all of our children, especially our teenagers, are trying to stay on video games 24 hours a day. Make sure you get low. So then they get to come outside, learn a skill, engage with their food. They get to see actually where their food comes from, be very proud of eating what they created. And it's bonding time, you know. Okay. Puff this out a little bit. Great. All right, so now we need to secure the other side. So we're just gonna put a few staples in for now, and we'll go back in later. Oh, we did the side before. See, that's Facebook Live magic. We already did that side. Okay, so now this side of the pallet, turn it, is completely open. So when you're stapling, you're gonna staple along this edge here to keep your soil in. All right, so feel for it, you know, it's gonna be low. I'm holding it taut for him so that he can see the edge of the pallet. And that's how you can coerce your kids to help you. By telling them, oh, I might staple my finger. You don't want me to staple my finger. Yeah. Try to remember to put on a bug spray. We did. Almost there. So we can bring it a little closer so y'all can see. All right, put one more here so we can finish it up later. All right. Okay, so now we're gonna pretend that all the sides are covered because we have one more side that we need to cover, but we'll do that later. So you're gonna flip your palette over, pull the fabric up on this side. And then hand me the staple gun. I want to put one staple here just to keep the. Want to make sure all sides have staples in them, covering up all of those holes so that your soil doesn't fall out, which is great. Plants need the soil to grow in. And one here. All right. So, and can you put this down for me? So at this point, you want to move your palette to where it's going to be. Because once you put the soil in, it's going to get kind of heavy. You could move it, but you'll need some help. We're going to grab our soil. And this part is kind of fun because you can kind of be messy with it and just dump the bag on top and like swoosh it around. All right, you ready? You want to dump it? Okay. Go for it. So this is a rather large palette. We're going to need a couple of bags. So we're going to spread this out. Spread this out. Get it down in there. Don't press it down too hard. You don't want compacted soil. Get and grab the second bag. So this size palette might end up needing 3 bags. We shall see. So we're gonna dump some here. Try and finish that out. And then dump some over here. Go on this side. We're just smoothing it in. Try to make it even. Yes, it is very moist, but you want your soil to be moist so that your plants will be happy and not thirsty and crusty. So we're gonna need about a quarter a bag more, so about 2¼ bags to fill up. So now we have our soil in, and we can begin to put our seedlings in there. Well, these are not seedlings, these are seeds. The summer sun is getting to me. So you just follow directions on the pack. You don't have to make it up, okay? So the instructions on here say, dig a furrow and sow, and then you put your tape down in the row, and then you are going to gently cover with 1/4 inch of fine soil. Firm lightly and keep evenly moist. And the seedlings will emerge in 10 to 14 days. All right, let me rip this open. Here is what my hands are garden dirty, but so I'm gonna get it dirty. But do you, I know, right? Do you see the seeds inside of the paper?
I thought they were just promise. I thought they were just no promise.
No. All right, baby, come on over. Go on the other side. So we're gonna lay down the seed tape for the length of our row. And then you can just rip it. Okay, here you go. And there is a piece of wood that goes across the middle. So you just uncover that so that you don't plant on top of it. You don't want to plant on top of it because your seedlings won't have anywhere to go. And then I just like to take my 2 fingers and drag them along to create a little indentation and lay them in, and I'm gonna let y'all see. So you lay your seed tape in, and then you can take some from the other side if it's easier for you. Get yourself a little soil, cover it up. Okay. And then we'll lightly water. So we're gonna do the same thing over here. So drag a little hole. So you can see. We're gonna lay our seed tape in. And cover. This with 1/4 inch of soil. Then we'll water it regularly. And in 10 days, 10 to 14 days, we should have some seedlings. Now we also can put some seeds in instead of seed space. So let's get our beet seeds. And on the back of the package, it'll tell you how far apart to space your plants. And it's important to abide by that, because if you put your plants too close, they won't have enough space to grow. When their leaves come out, they'll like crowd each other out, especially for root plants. Yeah, they'll stop each other's growth. So for the beet seeds, it says we are going to space 4 inches apart. So I have my ruler, and I'm going to line it up and make a hole about a 1/2 inch. Even if you don't know what a 1/2 inch looks like, stick your ruler down in there. Right, and I'm gonna drop a couple of seeds down in there. Let's see, drop a couple of seeds in, and then we're going to cover it up. All right, baby, we're going to go 4 inches from there. Okay, I'm gonna measure it out for you. Just take my finger and make little holes. All right, and then, so I made holes for him to follow, and he's just gonna drop the seeds in and cover them up. All right, 8. Here you go, baby. Put like 2 or 3 in there. And then I'm putting 2 and 3 in just in case one doesn't germinate. You have a backup. And then if they all germinate, you take out the ones that don't look as strong, and you leave the seedling that is giving good growth and has lots of leaves. And I'm using these particular beet seeds in this pallet, giving them a try, because the pallet is about 5 to 6 inches. Oh, I guess we don't have a lot of seedlings. Okay. One of the sisters out here. That's all. So Aiden spilled some seeds, so we're gonna have some extra seedlings, and that's okay. We'll just take them out, and you can eat the beet seedlings too. They're really tasty. I mean, they're really tasty. No, not the seeds, the seedlings. You eat the seedlings. So yeah, it's about like 6 inches deep, and the roots of these plants are about 2 to 4 inches. So the beets themselves will be about 2 to 4 inches. So it'll be enough space in there. Are you following the inches? If you forgot, it's okay. Just pick them up. Okay, well, you can put them in here and follow. See, I'm taking the ruler and every 4 inches, making a hole. Yeah, you can put those other seeds up too. And then after you have all your seeds in, you give them a nice shower of water and check on them every day because we're in summer and it's hot. So they're gonna need little spritz of water every day, keep them nice and lightly moist. And in 70 days, we'll have a beet harvest. If the roots happen to not mature, because sometimes things happen when we're gardening and we don't always get what we want. If you have leaves, you can eat those. Beet greens are delicious. So yeah, this is an easy way to get started gardening. Get yourself a free pallet you can get it from markets, from the wine and spirits store. There have been a lot of food distributions throughout the city, thankfully, in response to COVID-19 to make sure all of our Philadelphia families have the food that they need. And those food supplies also come on pallets. So you can contact those organizations and ask them, can you have their pallets when you're done? And you can get soil from your local garden center. Stay right there, girl. You don't have any clothes on. All right. Thank you all for joining us at the Culinary Literacy Center for this gardening session. We're going to do another session again in a few weeks, so you'll be able to see the updates on this pallet garden. We're going to talk about composting in that session, and I look forward to seeing you all again. And if you have any questions, put them in the comment section, and I'll get back to you. Thank you so much, and have a good day. Thanks, Ada. I'm glad you had a good time.
Yes.
Mama, I'll be part your video.
This is